You're listening to Boot Camp the Offense with Stephen Willis and Corey Burton. Welcome back to Boot Camp the Offense for a final episode. We're going to cover the offensive line. We're going to break that all down. I'm here with offensive coordinator at Hillwood High School, Corey Burton. You can follow him on Twitter at Coach Burton 36. You can follow me at the Stephen Willis, and of course, subscribe to us and like us at YouTube, or hit the bell on YouTube.
Because hit that bell, man.
Yeah, basically what that'll do is it'll allow you to get notifications every time we do a new video, and that way you won't be left out. So nobody likes to be left out.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, like I said, follow me, or like Steve said, follow me at Coach Burton 36. You can like our page, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. Find us on all the podcatchers. I can't say that enough. So it's been an exciting run so far, Steve, and I think this has been a lot of fun to do, and I look forward to getting around the SEC back in the fold. And then as the season unfolds, as the summer unfolds, getting some more other segments, we can break down whatever you want. If there's something you want us to talk about, feel free to hit us up and let us know.
Yeah, and around the SEC is probably a couple of weeks away. At the latest, I'm downloading video files for basically our YouTube channel, so you can see exactly what our website is and everything. Because once we hit them, we're going to actually do what we're going to do. So basically, you'll get the email address that you can go to if you have a tip. You can like us, you can subscribe us. All the things are coming together. And basically all I need in here is to put my 50-inch TV on the wall. And if I have that in place of this painting, the logos will go there and everything will look a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, like anything coming off the ground level. So just like Lane Kiffin's offense.
Yes, let's get on to the offensive line. The offensive line last year was left tackle Pierce Burton with the backup of Nick Broker. They kind of split the reps. Jalen Cunningham looks to be the starter this year at left guard. At center, Eli Johnson looks to be the starter. And at right guard, Ben Brown, who's the bell cow of this offensive line. And then you have right tackle is probably going to be Pierce Burton. So you have Nick Broker on the left, Pierce Burton on the right. The interesting thing with Nick Broker is Josh Hemholt, who Corey knows well and I know well, swore up and down in defense of his rating of Nick Broker last year as the lowest possible 3-star. He went on to basically start. He said he would go on the website and admit he was wrong if he was wrong, because we got in an argument before the season about Nick Broker, which he did not do and has not done. Like I said, I like Josh a lot, but his opinion on that one was not very good.
Yeah, it just shows you how much of an inexact science it is even. So,
Yeah, he was probably going off the advice of somebody like Edgy Tim.
Edgy Tim.
Yeah, because he's an Illinois kid. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's an inexact science. You're dealing with levels of football in different states that are higher and lower. If a player dominates a bad state, that doesn't mean he's good. That just means he's better than what's out there.
Yeah.
So you do have to be careful. But I'm going to turn it over to Corey now, and he's going to break down basically what you can expect to see from the offensive line in this offense.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, you did a good job of kind of giving us a depth chart of kind of what to watch for personnel-wise. Philosophy-wise, I mean, just watching some of the stuff from last year, just fixing some of the consistency problems. I think, at times the offense would get bogged down, and that might have been due to play calling and things like that. But, when they get rolling, they get rolling. And definitely, as you see, their strength is in run blocking versus pass protection. I think John Rice Plumlee was under pressure a lot when they tried to drop back pass. He had most of his success in the RPO game. and they had most of their success on the ground, and that's why we think that this running back room is going to be the highlight of the team, because the strengths lie up front with run blocking, and on top of that, the scheme is going to kind of help them with this transition phase, because they're used to blocking inside zone, they're used to blocking wide zone, they're used to doing some of the things that Kiffin's going to do. So they I don't think you'll see much drop off. I think you'll see a lot of improvement, because I think maybe the overall coaching on that side of the ball will get better, and the development from a year going will get better as well. And I think some of the play calling will just help them get into a rhythm and not have to run on loaded boxes, or not have to throw in obvious passing situations, and be able to control the chains a lot better than they did last year. I think they got in some predictable situations, and I think that's where they got in trouble. But they did move the ball quite nicely at times. You're watching the Auburn game, when they finally got their rhythm going. They could put the ball in the end zone. It's just that defensive line. Well, that defensive line could do that to any team, because that they had two people picked within the first 30 picks off the interior of that defensive line. One in the top 10, and the other very early in the second round, Marlon Davidson. So it's tough to do anything against that defensive line. But I thought they had as much success as you could against an elite defensive line, and I think that's a precursor for the future. I mean, if they can do some things like that on a team like Auburn, who gives you fits up front, especially in the interior, I think that bodes well in the development of what you possibly can do. And then hopefully the play calling, the fundamental work, and all of the things that they're asking these offensive linemen to do will hopefully improve and give them a better chance to succeed.
Yes. And going back to the Lane Kiffin offense stuff that you can go back and listen to, where we actually break down games of the offense. This is going to be a zone scheme based offense, just like last year. So they are going to be ahead of the pass game at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And by at the beginning, I mean probably the first 6 games or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair.
Yeah. So this is going to be a ground and pound based offense, at least in the beginning. It's not going to matter who is the quarterback. It matters who's the running back, basically, at this point. So basically, you take the number 2 rushing offense in the SEC last year, and you basically add experience to it. Now, you could say a year in the weight room. We've kind of lost that now. Mm-hmm. But they've already proven that they can do this at the SEC level.
Yeah, no, they have. They've definitely proven that we can run the ball successfully, even against teams like Auburn, even against teams like LSU, and definitely against teams like Arkansas, and then the non-conference games are notwithstanding. But you just gotta take what you can get early on. I think you're going to see with John Rice Plumlee's ability to run, or if the time comes where Matt Corral is in the game for whatever reason, injury, substitution package, whatever the case is, if he's in the game, then you definitely have a chance of incorporating some option schemes. So they have power reads they can do that take advantage of play side linemen. They have zone read stuff where they take advantage of a trailing defensive lineman. They have RPOs that they'll start to incorporate as they get the timing down. They'll probably start with 1, then they'll go to 2, and then they'll start adding them in bunches where they start picking on linebackers. So it's going to take some pressure off that offensive line to say, hey, there's going to be 6 guys in the box, but we only have to block 5, and we're going to read the other, and just go from there. So I think they'll have a lot of success doing that. I think, I think Ely is going to be helpful, because he's a good runner and he understands how to find a crease and not stop and dance in the hole. I think he's a good job navigating through traffic without really slowing down, which is dangerous. Snoop Connor is a good straight ahead explosive runner, and then you got these 2 talented freshmen that can do some things as well on the inside and outside that kind of have, they're a little bit younger, less experienced, but they have kind of some of the similar skill sets.
Yep, and there you go with that. Me and Corey we're gonna bring back around the SEC, start talking a little football, start talking rule changes. What do you think about the 1 year waiver on the transfer rule?
Well, I heard they shot that down today.
Oh, they didn't shoot it down; they delayed it.
So temporarily shooting it down.
Yeah,
Let them transfer once. You know, punish them if they're going to be a serial transfer. Like they don't start at Ole Miss, so they want to transfer. Okay, then they don't. Then they go to like Missouri. They don't start, so they transfer again. The second time is when okay, now you got to chill out. But the first time, there's a lot of factors that go into it. A lot of factors that go into it that aren't even related to football. You get, let's say you're a kid from North Carolina. Let's say you grew up in Raleigh. Okay, you went to trying to think of high schools in Raleigh. I'll use Atlanta as an example because I know high schools in Atlanta. Let's say you go to like North Gwinnett High School, right, in Atlanta. Let's say there's a bunch of schools that are recruiting you, and you just get enamored with Oregon. Hey, I'm going to go to the West Coast, home of Nike. All whatever you like about Oregon is why you pick it. Then you get out there and you realize this ain't what I signed up for. The coaches are barking at me. I'm 3,000 miles from home. The weather's completely different. The food sucks. The weather is awful. My classes are terrible. Things are just not working out. So, hey, maybe I just need to get closer to home. So I'm going to hit the transfer portal. And if a school, it works both ways. Like a school has to take you if you're going to transfer. So it's not guaranteed that you're going to always improve your situation. You could hit the transfer portal and get into a worse situation. That's just a risk you're taking. And I think you should get a one-time, one-shot deal at taking that risk and saying, hey, I'm going to put my cards on the table. I'm going to chance it. I'm not happy here, so I'm going to chance it and go somewhere else. Maybe things will get better, maybe not. I don't know, but I have to take the chance. And then you start getting into we got to sit out. And then there's got to be some sort of regulation between like going from Oregon to Oregon State, or going from Vandy to Florida, or going from so that you don't stop like those teams from picking off their best players. So there's got to be some interconference rules that I think could maintain, like you got to sit out a year if you transfer within conference, or you're not allowed to transfer within the same conference unless you come out and go to JUCO and all that stuff. There should be some definite conference regulations so that you don't have teams jumping from Ole Miss to Alabama when Nick Saban goes across after they just beat Alabama and goes, hey, I want you, and you. Come on, Alabama. And it just, you got one transfer. Come on over. You'll be eligible immediately. So come on. You got to stop that, because I think it'll mess up conference deals. But
well, I think the big winner in this once it happens, whether it's going to happen, whether it's this year or next year,
it should.
Is the second and third tier Power 5 school, not the top tier Power 5 and not the G5. But if you're second and third tier in a Power 5 conference, you're what? Because you can't stockpile kids anymore with this. There's no more Alabama. There's no more Georgia just sitting on the depth chart for 3 years as a 5-star because you can go and disappear. Basically, it's over.
Yeah, that's essentially how Ole Miss got Otis Reese.
Yes, and he's a heck of a player.
Yeah, you hate to lose him, but he was going to get buried on the depth chart because there's guys that are similar and better than he is. So, and I wish him all the best. I like Otis Reese. I don't wish him any ill will. I understand him transferring. I know exactly why, and I totally get it. So, but it helps guys like that.
Yeah, and basically why he went to Georgia. I understand he's a Georgia kid, and he probably was enamored by Georgia. He's probably a lifelong Georgia fan, but his role is not 12 yards from the line of scrimmage. His role is he's a box player, and he's a physical box player. So he needs to be in a 4-3 or a 3-3-5 where the outside linebacker is kind of a hybrid position.
He's the Jacoby Stevens. He's the Jacoby Stevens role. What Jacoby Stevens does at LSU is kind of like that box safety, low man and cover 3, things like that.
Yeah,
athletic enough to cover a tight end or slot, but mostly going to be in the box or near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and if the season gets delayed to where he's now eligible, like he got to Ole Miss like January 6th. So if the season goes past January 6th, he's eligible.
Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But he's a really good player. But it's also going to hurt G5 schools, I think, in the manner that you get a good player, that the player shows off for the Power 5 schools and they go pick him off. Because they can just recruit to that level, treat them like essentially a JUCO.
Yeah, but at the same token, I think you're going to have some of those guys at the end of depth charts on some of these. Like, let's say a kid gets, let's say, it works both ways. Let's say a kid gets buried on the depth chart at Duke. Well, he could jump down to, App State, and go start and be just fine. Because essentially the pros are going to find you wherever you are. It doesn't matter where you go. I mean, you go to Hofstra, you could go to Alabama. It doesn't matter. They're going to find you. Like Lenore Ryan, Division II. Have you ever heard of Lenore Ryan?
No.
Well, they're in Northwest Georgia, and they had a player drafted, I believe, in the second or third round by the Patriots, safety. So if they're going to find you, no matter where you are.
Yeah, we had a kid, Jeremy Parnell, a few years back that got drafted in the NFL after playing power forward on the basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, it just
doesn't matter.
If you're good enough, they're going to find you. So, the point is, like, hey, I'm going to sign at this major Power 5 just out of high school just because I feel like I'm good enough. And then when things don't work out, at some point, maybe after your sophomore year, after you give it a couple of years, I can say, hey, look, I can jump down to this and go play immediately, or I could jump to this, I could jump from Alabama to Vandy and play, or jump from Alabama to Indiana and play immediately, and then or jump from let's say jump from Purdue down to like Toledo, play immediately, get on draft radars, and let's roll. It's gonna stop some flow from FBS to FCS, which people would transfer to FCS to get immediate playing time and get immediate eligibility. It's going to curb that a little bit, but I think it'll make things more constant and stable in FCS, and I think it'll all stabilize itself. It'll all work itself out. That's not a problem.
All right. I want to thank everybody that listened to this limited podcast for Boot Camp the Offense. I think we're going to do probably a little Boot Camp the Defense in a little bit. But that's going to cover basically Michigan 2015.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for listening. You got a nice little preview of what Around the SEC is going to sound like there. You can tune into that. You can follow me at Twitter at the Stephen Willis. You can follow him at Coach Burton 36. Like us, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube, subscribe on SoundCloud, and we're available on all the podcatchers. Thank you very much.
See you later.